Shortly after George Floyd's murder, Minneapolis adopted a number of changes, including bans on chokeholds and neck restraints and requirements for police to attempt to stop fellow officers from using improper force. Minnesota lawmakers approved statewide police accountability packages in 2020 and in 2021, as well as tight restrictions on no-knock warrants just this month. There were immediate cries to defund the police. You might recall those cries and those questions, but voters rejected the ballot measure. Joining me this morning is retired HPD sergeant and civil rights activist Shelby Stewart to talk about the U.S. police debate still happening today. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
Having this important conversation. This conversation has been brought about many times in the past and likely will continue to be brought up. Do you think police reform can help alleviate or end police brutality?
It can't end police brutality by an individual, but it can shape a department to do things that are bad less by regulations and by punishment.
You know, you have a really incredible perspective here, having years and decades of service in the police department, Houston,
Yes.
in HPD, but also as a civil rights activist and leader. What are your thoughts on defunding police?
It's not something that I disagree with defunding the police.
You disagree with?
I disagree with
Yes.
it.
Okay.
Because you have to understand police culture. People that abuse police powers don't do it because it doesn't have anything to do with money.
Right.
It's a character of the individual. And so if you defund the police and they make less money, people that abuse that power do it because of ingrained racism and hate.
Yeah. On both sides, regardless
Exactly.
of whether you're a community member or wearing the badge.
Exactly. And so they would do it for free. You wouldn't have to pay them because it's about power.
It's about power. What would be your suggestion? What would be the compromise that leads to safer communities and community relations?
Well, I would say that what you need more so is transparency from the police department and accountability. The public should be able to see body cam footage of interactions that officers have with police officers, especially when they go wrong. But you don't really have that at the necessary level to be sure that the department is necessarily doing what they need to do to hold officers accountable and be more transparent.
Federal legislation to ban chokeholds and no-knock warrants has stalled in Congress, but President Biden has renewed calls to pass a bill. Do you think there could be bipartisan legislation that bridges this gap?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so because the Republicans do not want these reforms. If we had them on board, we wouldn't have AR-15s everywhere.
Yeah. Can you shed light, give insight on the double marginality of black officers due to being a minority, a part of a marginalized community, but also wearing that badge? What's that like?
It's a difficult situation because when you join the police department, you see the racism up front as you go through the police academy, when you go through probation, when you get on the streets. And so it's an everyday battle to fight for your humanity within the institution that you work in.
When you say you see racism up front stemming from the academy and on, what does that look like within the institution?
When I went through the academy, we had black cadets that were washed out for very minor infractions. Maybe they came to work too late, or they weren't able to get there on time enough, or whatever. But I also saw white cadets who failed in shooting and in other tests that you had to pass to make it, and they were given extra points and they passed them. So you see it up front.
Yeah.
There's a difference in the way that Black and Hispanic cadets were treated as opposed to white ones.
You referenced that was your experience in the academy
Yes.
years ago. Do you think that has changed since then?
I would hope that it has,
Right.
but I hadn't been there since
Right.
1982, so
Fair answer, yeah.
I couldn't.
Yeah. Well, this conversation continues. We so much appreciate you coming in and being part of that conversation today. I appreciate your time, and I know those listening right now also, appreciate your perspective.
Can I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
In regards to George Floyd was a victim, but the hero is Darnella Frazier, the 17-year-old child that had the courage to look Chauvin in the eye and film the murder on her camera. Without Darnella Frazier, you don't know who George Floyd is.
Yeah. Mr. Stewart, thank you very much, sir. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.